Good morning, friends. We're up on the balcony. Well, I'm actually sitting on the balcony railing on the scaffolding. Got scaffolding up. We've had it up for a long time to finish a little siding on the house, and it's a small enough job. It makes it that much harder to get back to. Anyway, we had to be up here anyway and thought it looked like a nice place to do a little video. So I wanted to talk about getting started homesteading. I was watching the Covenant Homestead last night, and he'd had a bunch of people ask him if it was too late to get started homesteading. I think specifically to live a life set apart. As far as the homesteading part goes, no, I mean, it is not too late. Land is more expensive, that's true. There are places you can go where it's more affordable than others, but there is a wealth there's a wealth of knowledge out there that you can access now. When I got started, YouTube hadn't quite come along, and I got started trying to learn this stuff back in the 90s and late 90s and early thousands, and I probably would have been learning a lot more of it in the early 90s if the access to resources had been easier. Back then, I was in college, and I'd hit the bookstores when I could, and of course, all those books were usually at full price, and you couldn't find much in the first place. And the libraries didn't have much, whether on campus or the town library, and I'd look at what I could, what they did have, and learn what I could, but there wasn't a lot. And in the years since, there's been a lot more books. The books that are out there or were written before are more accessible. You can find PDFs on them online, sometimes for free. You get used books. You can find used on eBay and Amazon and many other places. There's websites. People put the information out for free. There's, YouTube, of course, is just incredible. Lots of people sharing their wisdom and knowledge, often hard times won on there. If they're declaring themselves an expert or the master and they've only been at it a year or less, if they're interested in and know stuff, go ahead and listen to them. I mean, we certainly do sometimes anyway, but you might take it with a grain of salt and try to see what other people who are more experienced are saying. And sometimes the new person has got a vantage point that's definitely worth considering. There's been a trend, new hands, so to put it, to come in and declare themselves the experts and know better than everybody else. I think that's probably a bit on the foolish side. And again, listen to them, but listen to more experienced people as well. But yeah, take advantage of all the resources out there. It's back to books now. I hunted around books and magazines. It took a long time to pick up the trail. I think really got my venture going on the path that we've been on, the way we farm, it was the year my daughter was born, the year 2000. And I happened to pick up a copy of Western Horseman at one of the grocery store checkouts. And in the back of it was an ad for the Stockman Grass Farmer, and I think you could request a free issue, and I did that, and I got it, and I fell in love with that publication right away. It really resonated with me in the way I thought, and I became a subscriber, and I bought most of their books, and at one point I had all their books, and they've published a few more since that I haven't bought. I've actually been published in there myself. It's been a long time. I need to do more of that, and I haven't. I will start an article here and there and never finish it. And again, with the YouTube, that's why we kind of do a point, click, and post, minimal to no editing. If we didn't do it that way, we tried to get everything perfect, it'd never get done and never get up. So the negative of that, of course, is you as a viewer have to suffer through. But, if you want to hear what we have to say, that's how you get it, unfortunately. But yeah, so Stockman Grass Farmer, and it was that trail that opened up a world, and from there, you'd get a book, and there'd be another ad for a book, another book series. Picked up somewhere along the line, stumbled across the storybook series, got huge numbers of those, not all of them, they printed a lot. Old books, back when I got into it, often quoted book was in reprint, or you can find originals from the 30s. I've got a reprint. It's called 5 Acres of Independence. Back at the time, that was kind of the gold standard of the Bible of homesteading books, and there's many others. We'll actually sit down later on, hopefully more in the winter, and we'll go through some of these books and read the highlights, and we'll do that on video so you can share them and you can get the key points. And if you really like the book, you can of course go out and find a copy. And but that's how. And then, so, you know, again, back when I started, you're sitting here trying to learn all this stuff from books. Either take the text and decipher the instructions on how to do something. And I find text is brilliant for concepts and big ideas. As far as translating into how-to, I have a little more trouble deciphering the information that myself that way. Take 10 steps and follow them, I'll scramble them all up, guaranteed. But and then, you know, the next thing you've got, again, you're doing a book or maybe a magazine, and you've got a handful of photos, maybe color if you're lucky, you know, 1 or 2, and maybe a few more black and white, and they have to be grainy at that and small. And again, so you're trying to decipher how to do something from either text or small, grainy, black and white photos. Now, again, getting started homesteading, again, you've got the negative things costing more, especially land, but you have the benefit of being able to pull up YouTube video after YouTube video, in addition to websites, the books, magazines, and you can watch how somebody does it. You can pause it. You're probably watching, well, you've got your phone, that's a small screen, but you probably also got a TV that's big, you know. What do we have, 55-inch TV in the living room now? I mean, that was unheard of when I got started. You can really get on that big TV, you can really see what somebody's doing, really zero in on it. And if one person doesn't make sense, go watch 3 more videos. Sooner or later, you're going to watch somebody and say, ha, I get what they're doing, or I get what he's doing, that makes sense. You know, and then maybe something we're doing makes sense, and maybe you scratch your head after one of our videos, but you can watch somebody else and they get it across to you. And that's great. And you get it figured out and say, you know, I'm going to shoot a video because these guys are too experienced to be able to decipher it, to translate it down to somebody getting started. I'm going to show somebody else how to get started. And that's kind of why we started this channel. We talked about it a long time, but the real impetus was putting up the high tunnel. And we watched every video we could find and said, well, we're gonna share our story and our experience, and as much as we can, and hopefully that'll help somebody. So anyway, so I'm going to close it out here in a minute, and it's just a little discussion. You can get started, don't be discouraged, and you get on some land. I tell you what, the land may be more expensive. Vehicles, new vehicle price has gone up, used vehicle price has gone up. But again, you know, you can get a vehicle and you get on YouTube and learn how to prepare it. You've got a lot more options for hunting down parts to repair it. And you can hunt around for the best price on part. Buy quality parts, but it's okay to shop for the better price on them. And all the homesteading implements, meat grinders, if you're going to milking equipment, you have more options. All that stuff was really spendy, and if you go the commercial supply routes, it still is. But yeah, if you're homesteading, you're doing it on a small scale, you need a more affordable buy-in on it. And it's all up there, and you can get on Amazon and eBay and hunt around. You can find these things. If you've got the old equipment, you can hunt around and find the parts. The old days, maybe we'd wander into a parts store and they wouldn't have it, they wouldn't order it, or they wouldn't even be interested in helping you, or maybe you'd make a trip to a city 2 or 5 hours away and have to hunt around for an old dealer and hope they'd help you. And and it's fine to go that route, especially if you're near those places. But now, if you got some odd part you need to make a machine live again, you can get online and dig around and find it. And it may be, like somebody's listed one on eBay that had sat in storage for decades, and now it's come back out into the world and it's available again. And we do all these things. It's how we keep our stuff working. Tools, tools are more affordable, and used tools have come down. When I was first in farming, you'd go to a farm sale, and any tools sold almost as much as new. Now, more often than not, they're apt to give the stuff away. I mean, I bought circular saws and jigsaws and drills for $3 to $5 a piece, and don't seem to see the stuff as much as garage sales that way, but some of it. What else? Yeah, I could keep going with examples, but that's all it'd be. It'd be more examples. But whatever aspect if you're trying to do, heck, you can learn to fix appliances. Again, get on YouTube. And we've done a little bit of that. Hardly an appliance guy or an appliance expert, but we've repaired a refrigerator. We've rebuilt the washing machine several times. Seems like the washers and dryers need the most attention. We've changed elements in the range, your oven. That's not too hard to do. Make that oven go a long time. Do you want to spend several $100s on a new oven, or do you want to spend $20 on an element? So these kind of things, the household, the buildings. I mean, if you need to buy everything new, all new buildings, that's a lot of money. If you've got it, great. I have nothing against that. If you don't have it, you can learn these skills. And again, that was probably the one area when I started where you could really learn visually. PBS and some of the cable channels had great series going, like Home Time and This Old House and New Yankee Workshop, where they would show you how to do this stuff. But that was about it. And now there's those channels. Those resources are still available, new or old. Plus there's tons of YouTube channels on how to do things, all these things, how to build your house, how to change a patio door, how to build a deck. Use that stuff. You can do this stuff. None of it's super complicated in itself. It's not that hard to build a house, guys. It's just, there's a lot of steps and it takes time, and you got to work through them in the proper order. Otherwise, there's nothing really all that complicated about cutting a board or nailing a board or screwing two boards together. You just got to get everything in the right order and structurally make sure one thing supports the next. So, and repairing vehicles the same way. You have to learn to diagnose what's wrong and work through and repair it. And it's okay to take vehicles in, support the mechanics, but sometimes you don't have the money for that, or you can learn to do it yourself. And as you learn to do one thing, then you get more comfortable and confident, and you say the next job comes along and needs to be done, say, okay, I can do that too. Some of these things, if you buy the parts and do the work, they're not really that expensive. If you've got to hire it all done, it gets real expensive. And don't get me wrong, we're extreme DIYers, but we hire stuff done. We've got a beef going in to be processed tomorrow. Quite frankly, we can butcher a hog at home just fine, but it's kind of a headache doing a beef. And our guy at the Spencer Locker, he does a brilliant job, and he can work through it pretty fast, and he makes a living. And it's one of the cases where it's actually much more efficient and economical for us to pay him to do it than it is to do for us to do it. Now, when it comes to a hog, it's the other way around. What it costs to get a hog done, we can do that pretty easy, and we can do a hog in a day. Most of these jobs, repairing a vehicle, we can fix the vehicle faster than we can take it in, especially the small stuff. And again, I'm not against. I've hired work done. I've taken stuff into the shop and still had it done. You know, we've had people out to work on the place. Usually, in our case, they've got a piece of machinery we don't have, like a backhoe. And of course, when the dam was rebuilt, you know, a bulldozer, a long reach backhoe, and a land plane brought in, a Terex. So we do both. But yes, you can homestead. And again, the land's more expensive, but a lot of things are actually more economical than they were. And the single big spoon for you starting now is a source of information. There's probably never been an easier time just because of the availability of the information. So if you got questions, you got comments, you want me to do a specific video on something, or Christopher do a specific video, you know, let us know. So we want to help you. We don't always have time to get videos together, and we don't polish them real well, but we'll try to do what we can. With that, I hope everybody has a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.